all almost kissed in some of the takes.
You can't afford that.
Hugh, Dancy, and Mikkelsen! Looking back to when you were first creating Will and Hannibal, aside from the Hannibal versions that are out there, did you have any real life or fictional inspirations for your characters?
Yes, I did. There's a book, I'm trying to remember the guy's name now, but he was kind of the creator of behavioral science. And I think he actually also almost died from encephalitis, and Thomas Harris stole that. So yeah, and he subsequently wrote a book about his experiences, which was very helpful.
And was there any kind of inspiration for like the look and feel of Will, or did that all come from?
Bryan Fuller, essentially.
I read the Bible and looked at the fallen angel, Gabriel, and that was pretty much it.
Do you think Hannibal's relationship with Will made him more human throughout the series than when he was at the beginning before we met him?
You think it's human what he's doing to Will?
I think that maybe Will inspires more human feelings in Hannibal.
It's a long-lost friend. It is a long-lost brother. He sees a partner in crime for sure. And if that makes him look more human, it says a lot about you guys, but I'll take it.
Do you think Hannibal made Will sort of almost less human as the show went on?
I mean, again, we're talking really small increments. Less human. No, because he's not doing great at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he eats some people eventually. But no, I don't think either of them are very high on the human scale.
What is Will's opinion of cannibalism by the time season 3 rolls around?
His opinion of it?
Yeah.
Not his feelings about it, but just his opinion about it.
His feelings, yeah.
Less is more?
Will and Hannibal tried to kill each other several times throughout the series. If either one of them had actually succeeded, how do you think they would have felt afterwards?
Well, Will might have got a promotion. It's at least my job. But then he would probably have had a lot of time on his hands.
I think neither of them are wholeheartedly going for it. I can for sure say if Hannibal wanted Will dead, he would be dead.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hunch it will be the same the other way around.
I think that's a very good answer.
And he's also beautiful. Wasn't it beautiful? You sick fucks.
As you mentioned before, Hannibal is one of your happier characters, but he did feel he had his heart broken a few times throughout this series. What do you think his worst moment of heartbreak was?
I would say the betrayal when he finds a ginger-colored hair on Will's shoulder. Then he does the math.
It's not betrayal.
Have you not seen it?
When Will was helping Hannibal fake escape at the end of season 3, what do you think he was kind of thinking would happen next?
Season 4. I don't think he really knew what was going to happen next. I just think he wasn't happy with the way things were going.
That makes a lot of sense. So, Maz, you've spoken a little bit about Hannibal's final scene, and there's sort of discussion that Bryan has shared too about how you all almost kissed in some of the takes.
You can't afford that.
For charity?
I simply couldn't understand the question. Can you whisper?
Yes. What do you think took you all there in that moment? And if you could have another take, would you have tried it out?
Oh, at the very end of the third season?
Yeah.
I think it was because of you guys. You were pushing it all the time. We had nothing to do with it. No, I think that was it. It's better to indicate something than to actually do it, so it can make people's imagination go crazy. I can see what you mean when you see the finale, right? But we didn't think about it when we did it. We got carried away. Let's put it that way.
Amazing. I'm sort of in the same vein. Is there any scene that you might have wanted to go back and try a little differently?
As an actor, you always think that. I mean,
Yeah, and then some of them we did. I mean, that's the way Bryan writes it. You find, hang, didn't we shoot this scene like 2 seasons ago? And I feel like I was in this kitchen before, you know. So we kind of did. But no, there were no scenes that I would like to redo.
I would like to go and revisit the last episode of season 2. Not to do something different, just to enjoy it once again. Okay, it's a big moment for the cleaning man.
Yes, it's a fun moment for us all. Well, you've been at quite a few cons now and spoken to many fans. Has anything a fan said to you about Will or Hannibal resonated with you or like made you think of the character in new and interesting ways?
It's more the way that people talk about it's affected them or been significant in the moments in their lives, and that's a lot to take on, you know, because obviously it's not something you're aware of or thinking about when you're making the show, and then years later somebody says, it meant this to me, and it's kind of astonishing, and that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the sense of belonging has become a key word. These two characters are somehow in the outskirts of society, and they find each other in a strange combination of where they at least can find a path through life, right? And it seems as if that has hit a home mark at a lot of people who, the sense of belonging has been very important to a lot of people, which is fantastic that a TV show can help people out with.
Absolutely. Should there be a season 4, what do you think is one thing Hannibal would love to do?
Hannibal?
Or you?
Yeah, he would love to kill someone and then eat them.
What? That's crazy.
That's on his bucket list.
I think Will would just like to figure out who's doing all this killing and eating.
What do you think Will and Hannibal's favorite books or movies are? We've talked a little bit about music before.
But Will's would be some like fishing instructional manual. I don't think he's seriously, it's probably about as far as it goes. I think in Red Dragon, in the book, Thomas Harris says his possessions were a bunch of fishing tackle and a case of wine.
Yeah, obviously the Old Testament will be inspiring. And Dandy's Inferno is obviously, he's mentioning it a lot.
It's a very big, very pretentious library.
Yeah. But he's also into music. I mean, anything that is high quality and very difficult to understand, he will be on the case.
So you think Hannibal's sitting up in bed reading the Bible?
Sure.
An audiobook. It has a lot to do.
That is true.
I'm just going back to the idea of season 4. Is there anything you as actors would have wanted to get to do in the schema of Hannibal?
I think Bryan would probably have been stealing stuff from some of the later Thomas Harris books. I don't know, can't remember how much, I'm sure we've said all of this before, but there was an idea of a kind of reversal of season 1. So that season 1 kind of ending in sickness and confusion, and starting from that place at the beginning of season 4 and then kind of unraveling it and unpicking it.
And I believe there was some discussions of getting his hands on Silence of the Lamb.
Yeah, but also in Hannibal, when when Hannibal has Clarice and is kind of brainwashing her, right? Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Thank you. We should make this stuff up. And then there's the incredible scene in the helicopter. No. When he's kind of got her and he's brainwashing her and he's kind of rewiring her. I think he was interested in exploring that.
As we sort of move from Hannibal to more general questions about y'all, what has been your favorite memory so far from this Hannibal contour?
Yeah, but they're not memories anymore because we keep bumping into each other, right? But it would be the people. I mean, it is rare for actors to do a theater thing or you do a film. It's over after a while. But this lasted 3 years, and I know that a lot of people have done TV shows that last longer than that, but I haven't. I don't know about you. And it just becomes family. You glue together whether you like it or not. And so many friendships and so many fantastic actors who came and visited us. directors that I've never met again, but I would love to meet again one day. Yeah.
For Hannibal, is there anything that you thought about for Will and Hannibal that maybe we didn't see clearly on the screen, just that you knew about them?
I think we were more surprised than we planned because Bryan kept surprising us where the story was going. And there was absolutely no reason to back down or say no because it was always super interesting. And it's one of the most surprising things I've ever done as an actor. I literally didn't know what next episode would be.
Well, right, because it was coming at us thick and fast, mostly the day before we filmed it.
That as well.
So it was not by design, ironically.
But as far as like Hannibal's favorite breakfast food is waffles, or Will likes woolen socks, did you like imagine anything about your characters? I'm just curious.
That's how did you know?
He seems like the type.
I mean, this is probably terrible, but I don't remember. I mean, maybe I had those thoughts, maybe had those conversations with Bryan. I mean, so I remember at the beginning, like I said, thinking about, okay, what this job is. Like, because you're trying to, as Maz was saying, locate it in something that's believable, right? That makes sense. So thinking about that job and what it means to be fascinated by this particular type of crime, and then realizing that was only going to be 30% of the show, but I only realized that when he gave us the second episode. You know, okay, then you go off in that direction.
Is there a scene in any of the movies or shows that you've done that you think about and you're really proud of it? Like you think that was it, a great one?
Don't say no.
No, don't do it.
I was thinking like there's kind of too many. It's embarrassing. No, I mean, listen, like Matt said earlier, there's often so many moments when you're filming and you come away from it and you think, oh, and mostly because it was, you know how it is, you make a movie and you have an incredible experience and it bears no relation to like the success or the size of the movie's audience, but it was very meaningful for me. Also movies I wish nobody would watch. I have a good list of them.
Got a few of those. I think that slowly but gradually, after I've been doing more international stuff, people have gone back and discovered some of my Danish stuff. So I'm not going to sit and whine about that people don't watch Danish films, because they are. And especially the last 10 years, Danish films have really been traveling a lot. So I'm not... But there are things, that obviously some of the old things would have been nice, more people watched it, but that's the way it is. It's out there somewhere.
Has there been any advice in your career that you've received that's really stayed with you?
Get a good accountant.
And a lawyer.
Maybe we all need that advice.
Maybe not.
Not really. No, the things about advice is that you put us on the spot, you can't remember it, but it will dawn us in a certain situation. It's like, do you have a funny anecdote? No. And then when you go home, you go, yes, that was that one. Yeah. It's not, I mean, Lawrence Fishburne told me after a few weeks to pull myself up by the, what do you call it? The bootstrap? Yeah, kind of, in a more subtle way. Because I had the first scene with him, and he had seen a lot of my Danish work, and he got surprised that I was, it didn't feel as if it was my office. And I totally agreed. I was on thin ice in the first 2 weeks doing the show for many reasons. And he just, after the first take, he stopped and said, "Let's come with me." And he went out for a cigarette and said, "Listen, I've seen you act for the past 15 years. This is your office. Why do you behave as if it's somebody else's office? What? Don't listen to the DOP. Don't listen to the light guys who I used to stand and sit. Do your thing. You're the boss of your room." And that was a very, very healthy advice for me, because obviously it's Hannibal. He knows where the body is hidden, right? So no, that was a super good advice, because I forgot about that. I'm normally very good at saying this is my room once we start shooting. I've totally forgotten it when we started doing Hannibals. So I should thank him, and I have thanked him.
Working with Bryan was certainly a unique experience, now one that you've experienced twice. How is it different working with him on Hannibal, like a big series, and on a feature film?
When we did the film was written. That was one of the big differences. And the TV show, as Hugh mentioned, it's constantly moving on. It's a process. And we would literally go to bed and get 5 new pages for tomorrow, 5 new scenes. Like ding, ding, ding. You can sleep or you can learn your text. Your choice. That was not the case here. So we were a bit more on top of the whole thing here. But then we went away to a foreign country, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and a lot of it did go wrong. He's just a brilliant man to work with. His vision, as I said about the framework, it's a different universe when you work with Bryan, and you have to understand that. And he was very lucky to pick people around him who understood his universe. So crossing my finger that it comes across.
In Hannibal, there's obviously like a lot, as you were saying, of new pages coming every day. What was like the toughest piece of text that you ever had to learn?
Well, I can't remember it. When you learn it that fast, it also disappears really fast. But I was jumping around in different languages and also into the art world, and a lot of specific terms in Hungarian, and it was just, you're just basically learning stuff phonetically, and you look as if you know what you're talking about. Yeah, Hannibal faked it a lot.
It's a funny description of acting. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you know, everything has to be fine taste. Everything is leveled, right? So what I was dealing with was stuff I had literally never heard about before, constantly, right? Yeah. And I would ask my dialect coach, and she would go, "Don't ask me, I have no clue what's going on here." Right? So I'll just sit and Google everything. Right?
There was a line about a roller coaster. I mean, obviously it wasn't literally about a roller coaster. It was like an analogy of and I can't honestly remember what the line was.
That's true.
But I remember delivering it, and then Lawrence saying, "Oh yeah, I recognize that line." He tried to have me say that line, and I said, "No, I'm not saying that." So then Bryan had just like hung on to it, and I have a feeling for a while he'd like tried to like, you know, maybe Hannibal would say, "No, no." So then he just made me say it.
Right. You see, Lawrence gave you advice as well.
Yeah.
Don't say yes. Don't say it.
How do you feel your perceptions of Will and Hannibal evolved from like when you began to when you finished? Did anything you thought about them really change?
Probably. I mean, almost certainly, right? As we were saying, because Bryan was not reimagining it, but expanding it and shaping it as he went on. So we had to the beginning, like the bare minimum. He was a cannibal, and I was worked for the FBI. It's about where we started. So yeah, for sure. But then when you look back, it's hard to remember where you started from.
And where would you say you ended?
In the sea. Probably.
Ooh. Because in the helicopter.
I mean, that's right, about the famous helicopter scene from the later Thomas Harris novels.
Obviously, he's on a journey that is surprising, and it's like this is a journey where you have to ask a lot of questions as an actor. How do we get from A to B to C, eventually ending up here? Hannibal is not like that. Hannibal is maneuverable in a different way, right? Whatever it takes for him to get his way, he will do it. That also means that he will behave in a certain way, he will do certain things, he will look in a certain way in order to get what he wants. So that nothing can really surprise me as an actor when it turns up on the next episode. It's like, yeah, Hannibal will do that probably. Right? The classical way of developing a character is obviously something Hugh went through as an actor, right? And it's quite a development, I would say. Hannibal, not so much. He's, as I said, the fallen angel. He's out to get what he wants. Whatever it takes, he will do it.
So do you think he changed at all from the start to the end of the show?
Well, he changes constantly. He's a chameleon constantly.
But in like a base way?
No, I think really worked hard of making him human, in the sense that he has empathy. He just chooses when to have it. Whereas he has empathy and he has no control over it, right? So it should not be empty emotions from Hannibal's side. It should be true and honest, but he's also in control of them, as opposed to Will.
Is there anything you feel that like you were able to add to Will and Hannibal when you were performing them?
I mean, I hope so. I think the understanding of what, look, Bryan, it's very basic. You know, we had the scripts as stated with Bible. They kept coming, they kept developing, but that's where we were working from. But then, you know, beyond that, there was a sense of particularly the relationship between these two guys that we were figuring out beyond that and the specifics of it. And then there's the lines, but just also in just really basic stuff in the blocking and the shaping of it and the development of it. So yeah, of course we were contributing to that. And Bryan is collaborative, and I've talked about this before. I remember both of us did this at different times. Like, we were trying to figure out what the hell we're doing, so we would write him slightly panicky emails. Like, basically, the subtext was always, "Please, can I have the script?" But you'd write these emails, like, you know, disguised as a character discussion, and then you get the script the next day, and you're like, "Wait, I wrote that line in my email last night." Because you're trying to kind of get through to Bryan on his level, right? You use his language, which is heightened, And then he'd think, because he'd be like, I'll have that. And then you're saying it. I guess that's a type of collaboration.
Absolutely. Do you remember a line like that, just out of curiosity?
There's a line in the art gallery but I can't remember the details of it, saying something like, it's like every crime you've ever committed or every murder. That was just one of those panicky emails to Bryan.
That's very
There's a line about being like, words are like pack animals or something.
Yeah.
That was something dumb I said to Bryan while I was drinking whiskey. Like that.
Yeah, that's great.
And I remember him saying the same thing. It was like an email, like, I don't know what you'd written. He's like, takes the most pretentious bit.
I can't remember anything specific, but it's true. I mean, I think Hugh and I was very on the development between the two guys. Like, did he know that I knew that he knew? That kind of thing. Then we would come to the conclusion, you know what, we can't say this in this scene yet. We have to push that for the very last scene, because that is just too heavily indicating whatever. And so we were like detectives on that a lot together, and and Bryan would understand right away and say, you're absolutely right, we'll move it around, blah, blah, blah. So that was a lot of the job description, I would say. Yeah. And then learn your lines.
Thank you all so much for joining us here. Thank you all